In the neon-drenched shadows of the nebula nest, an interstellar bar perched on the fringe of the galaxy. Zik, a small but defiant alien warrior, slipped through the throng of bulky, rowdy patrons. With every cautious step, his presence drew sneers and skeptical murmurs. Unfazed, he ordered the bar's most infamous concoction, a swirling, luminous beverage known to knock even the hardiest of the galaxy's denizens off their feet. As the bartender, a wiry creature with too many arms, slid the drink across the bar, booming voice cut through the hubbub. "Looks like we've got a toddler playing tough tonight." The crowd erupted into laughter, but Zik's calm sip of his drink and his slight, knowing smile hinted at an imminent, unexpected twist. He wasn't alone, and his backup was nothing short of legendary. The neon lights of the nebula nest flickered, casting elongated shadows that danced across the rough-hewn walls of the interstellar bar. It was a place that whispered of 1,000 secrets and roared with 1,000 more tales of cosmic bravado. Amidst the cacophony of alien dialects and the clinking of exotic glassware filled with even more exotic concoctions, Zik made his entrance. Small in stature, but bold in spirit, Zik was not your typical patron of this notorious haunt. His thin limbs and the slight frame were a stark contrast to the bulky, menacing figures that filled the bar. As he approached the bartender, a Signian with too many eyes and not enough smiles, Zik slid onto a stool with an ease that belied his tension. "One solar slinger, please," Zik requested, his voice steady despite the buzzing that had begun around him. The drink was a volatile mix known to knock even the hardiest of Ulgan warriors off their feet. "A solar slinger for the tiny warrior," boomed a voice from behind. It was Groll, a hulking brute whose fame and girth were equally widespread across the galaxies. His voice dripped with sarcasm and malice, drawing the attention of everyone in the bar. "Or perhaps a starlight serenade. It's more suited to your delicate constitution." The crowd erupted in laughter, the sound bitter and mocking in Zik's ears. But he held his ground, swirling the luminescent liquid in his glass before taking a deliberate sip. The warmth of the drink spread through his veins, steeling his resolve. "I drink what I please, and I please what I drink," Zik shot back, the words slicing through the mockery with an edge sharper than a Krillian blade. "Oh, is that so?" Groll stepped closer, his shadow engulfing Zik. "Looks to me like you're just a child playing at being a warrior. What battles have you fought, little one?" Zik met Groll's gaze, his own eyes glinting with a challenge. "The fiercest battles, Groll, are not always fought with fists and fury. Sometimes, the sharpest weapon is the mind." Groll snorted, the sound echoing off the metal beams above them. "Words are the weapons of the weak," he declared, pushing Zik's shoulder roughly. At that moment, the door to the nebula nest swung open with a resolute thud. All eyes turned as a new figure stepped into the dim light, his presence commanding immediate attention. It was Rax, human, tall, and imposing, with a reputation that preceded him. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the scene before settling on his friend and the looming threat beside him. "Problem here." Rax's voice was calm, but there was an undeniable promise of danger in his tone. Zik didn't miss a beat, just discussing the merits of intellect over brute strength, he replied smoothly, standing his ground as Rax approached. Groll looked between the two, a sneer twisting his features. "Looks like the little warrior needed a babysitter." Rax's smile was slow and utterly devoid of humor. "Not a babysitter, Groll, just here to even the odds." As the tension spiraled, patrons of the nebula nest leaned in, the air thick with anticipation. The stage was set, not just for a brawl, but for a showdown that would challenge the very notions of strength and courage in this corner of the stars. The nebula nest's doors swung open with a thud that reverberated across the crowded room, slicing through the cacophony of alien jeers and laughter like a ship cutting through the cosmic void. All eyes turned as Rax, the human combatant with a reputation as vast as the galaxies, stepped into the dim light of the bar. His silhouette, broad and imposing, cast a long shadow that reached like fingers across the grimy floor, touching the feet of the unruly patrons who fell silent, their taunts suspended in the thick air. Rax's eyes scanned the crowd, a piercing gaze that missed nothing. A skill honed on distant worlds and in the heat of battle. His boots made a solid, deliberate sound as he walked, each step a clear, controlled statement of intent. The bar's usual raucousness dimmed, the patron's rowdiness replaced by a tense curiosity. He made his way to the bar, his presence parting the crowd as if he wielded the gravity of a neutron star. Zik, small and composed, watched his partner approach, his own expression unreadable yet tinged with a flicker of relief that fluttered briefly in his bright eyes. The moment was broken when Groll, with his massive frame and furrowed brow, decided to reassert his dominance. "Hey, Rax," Groll called out, his voice booming yet carrying a hint of mockery. "Come to babysit your little friend." Rax stopped, turning slowly to face Groll. His face was calm, an ocean of tranquility before the storm. "No, Groll," he replied in a voice smooth and cool. "Just stopping by for a drink. But I can multitask." A murmur of laughter rippled through the crowd. The tension broke slightly, but Rax's eyes never left Groll's. They stood there, measuring each other, two warriors from different worlds, literally and figuratively. Groll stepped closer, the circle of onlookers widening in anticipation. "Looks to me like he needs a keeper. Wouldn't want him to get hurt," he sneered, giving Zik a shove that was more taunt than threat. Quick as a flash, Rax was at Zik's side, catching him before he could stumble. With one arm supporting Zik, Rax's other hand shot out, grabbing Groll's wrist with a grip that was both a warning and a formidable display of human strength. "Now, that's no way to treat a guest in your bar," Rax said, his voice low and dangerous. The room held its breath, the only sounds the faint hum of the neon lights and the distant clank of a spaceship docking. Groll looked down at Rax's hand on his wrist and then into his eyes. He could see no fear there, only an unspoken challenge. With a grunt, Groll pulled his arm back, breaking Rax's grip, but not engaging further. "Just having some fun, human. No harm meant," he growled, though the look he shot Zik promised more conflict to come. Rax nodded, his expression unreadable as he turned back to Zik. "You okay?" he asked, his voice returning to its usual calm. "Yeah, thanks to you," Zik responded, a small smile breaking through his stoic facade. Rax clapped him on the shoulder, then faced the crowd, raising his voice so all could hear. "Drinks on me for the house," he announced, pulling a few glinting credits from his pocket and slapping them on the bar. The tension melted into eager murmurs as patrons turned their attention to the promise of free drinks. As the crowd dispersed slightly, Rax leaned in, whispering to Zik, "Stay sharp. The night's not over yet." And indeed, in the dark corners of the nebula nest, eyes watched and plans formed. Because in the cosmos, as on Earth, the presence of a hero often heralds the rise of new challenges. The tension in the nebula nests snapped like a brittle twig as Groll's hand connected with Zik's shoulder a second time. The small Threlix stumbled slightly, a grimace crossing his face, not from pain but frustration. The bar's chaotic energy surged as patrons backed away, forming a makeshift arena around Rax, Zik, and Groll. Rax stepped forward, his presence a calm in the storm. "You know, I've traveled across galaxies, and it's always the big ones who think pushing makes them strong," Rax remarked with a wry smile. Groll sneered, unamused, his eyes narrowing at the human who dared challenge him. "Strength is strength, human. Let's see yours." Without warning, Groll lunged forward, his massive fist aimed squarely at Rax's jaw. With an agility that belied his size, Rax sidestepped the blow, grabbing Groll's extended arm and using his momentum to spin him around. The movement was fluid, practiced, and before the onlookers could gasp, Groll was stumbling to regain his balance. Rax didn't wait for him to recover. He launched a rapid succession of strikes, each blow a testament to human precision and training. Groll blocked some, but most found their mark, eliciting grunts from the burly alien. Zik, not to be outdone, darted between the legs of other fighters, tripping up a crun who had decided to join the fray. It's not the size of the warrior in the fight, but the size of the fight in the warrior, Zik quipped, ducking as another alien swung at him. The bar erupted into further chaos as Groll's cronies joined in, eager to defend their leader's bruised ego. The scene became a blur of motion. Patrons hurled glasses and bottles, adding to the cacophony. Amid the tumult, Zik and Rax fought back to back, a seamless unit of interspecies synergy. Rax caught a descending fist, twisting the arm behind the attacker's back and pushing him into two others that were charging towards Zik. The Threlix used this moment to leap up, kicking off the wall and landing a kick on another assailant's head. The impact sent the unfortunate soul spinning through the air, crashing into a table that splintered under the weight. "Need a hand?" Rax shouted over the commotion, offering Zik a brief grin as he ducked a wild punch. "Just keep up," Zik retorted, grinning back as he parried another blow with the agility of his species. As the fight drew on, it was clear that while Groll and his team had brute strength, they lacked the coordination and cunning of the human Threlix duo. One by one, Rax and Zik subdued their attackers, their movements a dance of combat honed through countless similar skirmishes. Finally, only Groll was left standing, breathing heavily, his eyes burning with humiliation and rage. He looked around at his defeated comrades, his chest heaving. "Enough," he growled, the word echoing slightly in the now quiet room. Rax stepped forward, his stance relaxed but ready. "This can end without any more broken furniture or bones," he said, his voice firm yet not unkind. "Your choice." Groll looked between Rax and Zik, then at the watching crowd, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and respect. With a final snort of defiance that belied his defeated posture, he turned and walked away, his exit a silent concession to the superior skill and spirit of his adversaries. As the adrenaline faded, the sounds of the Nebula nest returned to its usual blend of laughter and spirited talk. Zik and Rax exchanged a look, a nod of mutual respect and camaraderie. Together, they had turned scorn into respect, not just for themselves but for the notion that true strength often comes from the unexpected. In the thick of the fray inside the Nebula nest, Zik and Rax found themselves surrounded by a crowd fueled by Groll's influence and the bar's intoxicating mix of spirits. The clamor of the brawl was a cacophony that echoed through the rafters of the rustic establishment, punctuated by the occasional shatter of glass and the dull thuds of combat. Rax, his jaw set and eyes scanning for the next move, caught Zik's quick gesture out of the corner of his eye, a nod towards the chandelier overhead that twinkled with a spectrum of alien technologies. Understanding flashed between the human and his Threlix friend, a plan formulating without the need for words. Rax's combat training combined with Zik's agile mind was about to orchestrate a spectacle no patron of the Nebula nest would soon forget. "Cover me," shouted Rax as he darted towards a group of advancing adversaries. His voice carried over the din, a clear, commanding tone that was unmistakably human in its confidence. Zik, small but swift, maneuvered through the brawlers with an elegance that belied his earlier underestimation by the crowd. Rax reached the bar, his hands finding the aged wood of the counter. With a heave born from Earth's gravity-hardened muscles, he vaulted himself up and onto the bar's surface. Glass and liquid flew around him like a meteor shower as he sprinted along the bar, dodging the swipe of an alien patron. Zik, meanwhile, was a blur of motion. He darted underneath the swinging limbs and leaping bodies, his eyes fixed on the chandelier. Reaching a support pillar, he scaled it with an agility that silenced the mocking tones of just minutes before. From his vantage point, Zik leaped, his hands grasping the base of the chandelier. The fixture swung wildly under his weight, casting prismatic shadows across the brawling crowd. Below him, Rax was a force to be reckoned with. Each punch and block was a testament to human resilience and strength, his actions a dance of precision and power. As Zik swung the chandelier in a wide arc, Rax used the distraction to his advantage. He delivered a strategic blow to a particularly large alien who was attempting to rally the crowd against them. The impact sent the alien crashing into his comrades. Like dominoes they fell, one after the other. The tide was turning, and the patrons of the Nebula Nest could feel it. Whispers began to weave through the crowd, their content shifting from scorn to respect. Zik, still swinging from the chandelier, released his hold at the peak of its arc, launching himself towards Rax. Rax caught Zik in one smooth motion, setting him down as they faced the few who still dared challenge them. Together, they stood ready, their breaths sensing in the brief lull. A testament to their partnership. Enough. The voice cut through the noise, as commanding as any officer of the law. It was the bar owner, his multiple eyes flaring with a demand for peace. This ends now, or I'll have the lot of you out on the moons. The brawlers hesitated, their will to fight draining away as quickly as it had surged. Groll, battered and bruised, his followers dispersed, could do nothing but nod in agreement. As calm settled over the Nebula Nest once more, Zik and Rax shared a look of mutual respect and understanding. Their bond, formed in the heat of battle and sealed in the solidarity of mutual support, was stronger than ever. The patrons, now silent, watched in awe as the duo walked back to the bar, their drinks waiting as if nothing had happened. As the clatter and clamor of the brawl faded into the dim corners of the Nebula Nest, the bar's atmosphere simmered down to a wary calm. The proprietor, a seasoned Signian with an eye for business and peace, quickly seized the moment to restore order. "Drinks on the house for the brave," he announced, nodding towards Zik and Rax. His multifaceted eyes glinted under the bar lights, reflecting a mix of gratitude and relief. Zik and Rax, slightly battered but unbowed, settled into their seats at the bar. The wooden stools bore the marks of the fray, a testament to the night's chaos. The bartender, with practiced hands, lined up two of the establishment's famed galactic gargles, a drink known for its potent punch and luminous layers of color. "Never thought I'd end up fighting side by side with the Thralix," Rax said, accepting his drink with a wry smile. The liquid fizzed as it met the air, casting a soft glow on his rugged face. "And I never thought I'd find a human who fights like a Thralix," Zik retorted, his tone light but proud. He raised his glass, the vibrant drink illuminating his delicate features. "To unexpected friendships and unwelcome foes," he toasted. "To the best kind of friends." Rax clinked his glass against Zik's with a chuckle, "the kind who show up to save your skin." Around them, the bar's patrons, some curious, some cautious, watched and whispered. Their eyes flicked between the human and his alien friend, their recent display of camaraderie and combat prowess the subject of hushed tones and speculative murmurs. The Nebula Nest, a haven for the galaxy's drifters and dreamers, was no stranger to conflict, but tonight's events had woven a new thread into its rich tapestry of tales. Groll, the instigator of the night's troubles, nursed his bruised ego and a cold compress at a shadowy corner of the bar. His followers, their loyalty as fickle as their leader's fortunes, gave Zik and Rax a wide berth. "You know, Zik," Rax began, his voice low as he surveyed the room, "tonight wasn't just about throwing punches. It was about standing up for those who can't, about respecting differences." Zik nodded, his gaze thoughtful, his mind replaying the night's swift shifts. "And it was about showing them that size isn't the scale by which courage is measured," he added, his voice firm. "May tonight remind them to think twice before judging a book by its cover." As the night drew on, the crowd thinned, leaving behind a sense of respect and a sprinkle of awe. The duo's actions spoke louder than the raucous jeers that had first greeted Zik. Now, even the toughest of the bar's regulars viewed them through a lens of respect and slight wariness. Finally, as the last orders were called and the faintest light of the galactic dawn crept through the bar's tinted windows. Rax and Zik prepared to depart. Their steps were steady, their shoulders unburdened by the weight of proving themselves. Same time next week, Rax joked as they stepped into the cool night air, the stars twinkling above like silent witnesses to their bond. Let's aim for less drama next time. Zik laughed, his voice carrying into the night, blending with the sounds of the bustling spaceport. Together, they walked away from the nebula nest, leaving behind a night of memories and a story that would be retold long after they were gone. A story of a human and an alien who stood together against the odds.